Starting January 1st, 2026, millions of US travelers will walk into an airport carrying a bag they've used for years and discover it's no longer allowed. Not because the airline changed the measurements on their website, and not because the bag suddenly became larger, but because airlines are finally enforcing rules they quietly updated behind the scenes. Bags that once passed without question are now flagged by AI scanners. Personal items that always fit under the seat are now counted as violations. Some passengers are being stopped before they even reach the jet bridge, facing surprise fees, forced gate checks, or being denied boarding altogether. And the carry-on crackdown is only one part of what 2026 brings. Digital IDs linked to boarding profiles, automated tracking of every item you bring, strict weight limits on international routes, and Europe's new biometric entry system launching April 10th, where fingerprints, facial data, and travel history are recorded the moment you arrive. These changes aren't being advertised and they aren't spelled out in the emails airlines send, but they will shape every trip Americans take in 2026. Most travelers have no idea this is coming, and the ones who ignore it will be the first to pay $150 at the gate for a bag they thought was safe. If you want to stay ahead of a system that's becoming less forgiving every month, subscribe now so you're not caught off guard like everyone else. The crackdown. Airlines spent years tolerating overcrowded boarding areas and stuffed overhead bins, but 2026 marks the point where they can't afford to ignore it anymore. Every full flight now carries more passengers determined to bring everything on board. The bins fill faster than the boarding groups can move, and once boarding slows, the airline is hit with operational penalties. That pressure moves directly to the gate, where agents are instructed to prevent any delay that can be traced to oversized or excess bags. This is why enforcement suddenly feels strict. What used to pass unnoticed is now flagged without hesitation. Travelers who walk up with an extra item, an expanded carry-on, or a backpack that looks too structured are getting stopped immediately. The consequences come fast. Fees added at the last moment, bags pulled out of line and handed off to RAM teams to be checked, and for passengers identified as repeat violators through digital boarding history, some airlines are denying boarding altogether. The new reality isn't only about luggage. It reflects an industry stretched by rising passenger volume and shrinking turnaround margins. When one cabin runs out of space, the entire sequence falls behind schedule. Airlines now track this with internal software that maps slowdowns to specific causes, and extra bags are one of the biggest triggers. Once that data became clear, enforcement was no longer optional. For travelers, this shift feels personal, but it isn't directed at any individual. It's the result of an industry that has reached its limit. The message is blunt. This isn't about your bag, it's about an aviation system that finally reached a point where every minute counts and every mistake costs money. The only way to move through it smoothly is to understand how this new environment operates before you reach the gate. What changed behind the scenes? Most travelers think enforcement got stricter because employees became tougher, but the real shift happened inside the systems airlines now rely on. Digital ID boarding changed how passengers are managed. The moment your ID is scanned, whether it's your license, passport, or digital credential, your profile pulls up a real-time count of every item you're carrying. That includes what you brought through the checkpoint, what the camera saw at the gate, and what the AI scanners registered as you approach the boarding area. A gate agent doesn't have to guess anymore. Their tablet simply shows passenger carries 3 items, over limit. Once that alert appears, they're expected to act on it. Behind the counter, airlines updated their internal instructions as well. These aren't posted on websites and they don't appear on booking pages. They are the rules agents actually use. Every personal item must be checked visually, not assumed. Any extra strap, pouch, jacket stuffed around the bag, or laptop sleeve counts as a separate item. The tricks travelers relied on for years, stacking a tote on top of a suitcase, hiding a smaller bag inside a jacket, or holding a backpack against the body to make it look flat, no longer pass. The new software tracks shape and volume, and when someone approaches with more than the allowed items, the system identifies them before a human does. AI plays a bigger role than travelers realize. The cameras at boarding lanes analyze how people carry their belongings. Anyone who looks overloaded is flagged for manual check. It doesn't accuse or confront, it simply sends the agent a prompt that attention is required, and prompts must be cleared before boarding can continue. The FAA's boarding efficiency metric pushes everything even further. Airlines are evaluated on how quickly they can seat passengers and close the door. If boarding slows, the airline pays for it in penalties and disruptions to the schedule. That pressure moves straight to the front line. Agents are instructed to prevent anything that slows the flow of boarding, which means questionable bags are pulled aside the moment they appear. These behind-the-scenes changes explain why 2026 feels different. It isn't random. It's a coordinated shift in technology, policy, and federal expectations, and travelers step into it every time they scan their ID, lift their carry-on, or walk toward the gate. Public rules versus hidden enforcement rules. Travelers often assume the rules listed on an airline website are the final word. In 2026, that assumption creates more problems than any oversized bag ever could. Airlines operate with two sets of guidelines. The public version gives broad allowances, simple dimensions, and reassuring language that suggests flexibility. The internal version, the one gate agents actually follow, looks completely different. This gap explains why a bag that passed on your last trip is suddenly questioned today. The employee isn't ignoring the website, they're following instructions travelers never see. Those instructions define personal items in a much narrower way. In 2026, a personal item must fit fully under the seat in front of you with nothing sticking out. Not a corner, not a jacket draped across it, not a strap hanging outside the footprint. Anything visible beyond that space is counted as an additional bag, even if the passenger believes it meets the posted dimensions. Small details matter more. Straps, handles, and outer attachments that once went unnoticed now count toward the limits. A bag that technically fits the measurement box may still be rejected if its shape pushes upwards or outwards. In a system focused on speed and compliance, appearance matters more than technical compliance. If it looks too structured, it may be flagged. Weight rules add another layer, especially on international flights. Many travelers are used to American carriers that rarely weigh carry-ons, but in 2026, more overseas airlines enforce strict limits, often 7 kilograms, sometimes 10 kilograms, and they weigh bags at the gate. It catches people off guard because nothing on the US Airlines website warns them about it. The risk increases on code-share tickets where two airlines operate the same trip. A passenger might leave the United States under United's relaxed rules and return under Lufthansa's strict enforcement, only to be charged at the gate for a carry-on they thought was included. This mix of public messaging and hidden enforcement leaves travelers confused, but the pattern is clear once the internal expectations are understood. Airlines are moving towards smaller, lighter, more controlled cabin space, and the rules that matter most are the ones guiding the employees standing at the gate. The best carry-on to use in 2026. Choosing a carry-on in 2026 is no longer about style or brand loyalty. It's about understanding the technology studying your bag before a human ever does. AI bag scanners now photograph luggage as passengers approach the gate. The system is trained to flag oversized shapes, stiff frames, and any structure that looks difficult to compress into a bin. Once your bag is marked in the system, the agent doesn't need to debate with you. The alert alone is enough to trigger additional checks. This is why hard-shell luggage has become a quiet liability. Its rigid frame makes it appear larger even when it fits published measurements. The scanner reads it as a fixed object, unable to flex into tight cabin space. Soft-sided bags perform better because their form adjusts naturally. Rounded edges, flexible panels, and a lower visual profile allow them to pass through the scan without drawing attention. Design details matter more than ever. Raised pockets add bulk the scanner detects instantly. Bulging zippers signal overpacking, which gets flagged even if the bag technically fits. Overexpanded suitcases are among the first to be pulled aside because expansion panels create the same silhouette as an oversized bag. Travelers who adapt to these new expectations move through the system easily. Those who don't end up paying fees they never saw coming. And if you're the organized friend in your group, the one people rely on for smooth travel, you can't afford to walk into 2026 unprepared. Hit like so YouTube keeps sending these survival guides your way. The 2026 Personal Item Strategy. In 2026, the personal item becomes more than luggage. It becomes a calculated choice. Airports will rely on volume scanning AI that no longer cares about tags, brand names, or standard size promises from manufacturers. It only sees one thing: shape. And this single shift is already reshaping how frequent travelers pack. The most effective personal items share one unexpected trait: they collapse. Soft-sided, slouchy, roll-top compressible bags outperform every sleek, structured option on the market. The reason is simple. The scanners judge how much space a bag takes up at that exact moment. If the bag flexes, folds, or shifts its outline, the system reads it as smaller. Travelers have started calling them disappearing bags because the AI treats them gently, almost like they're part of the body instead of luggage. Carrying it correctly matters just as much as choosing the right type. Positioning it low on your back changes how the sensors interpret the overall profile. Bags worn high appear rigid. Bags worn at hip level seem softer and more compressed. Even airport staff are noticing the pattern. The lower the placement, the fewer questions asked. The biggest mistake people make is holding the bag by hand. The moment the arm swings, the bag looks wide, full, and boxy-shaped, exactly what triggers the new scanners. In 2026, a hand-carried personal item is practically an invitation for extra screening.
Beating international weight limits. Most travelers don't realize this yet, but in 2026, the real fight at international airports isn't about space, it's about weight. And the people who pass through checkpoints without paying a cent more all share one advantage. They know exactly how to shift pounds where airlines never look. Here's the part that stops experienced flyers in their tracks. The heaviest items you pack rarely belong in your carry-on. They belong in your personal item. Airlines weigh carry-ons relentlessly on international routes. Personal items? Almost never. That loophole is becoming the quiet shortcut of seasoned travelers. Heavy gear, laptops, cameras, power banks, spare batteries should always move to the personal item. These items create most of the weight that pushes a bag over the limit, yet they fit naturally into a backpack or slouchy tote. Shoes and sweatshirts belong there too, not because they're fragile, but because they're dense. Every pound transferred is a pound you no longer need to argue about at the gate. There's a second layer to this strategy that most people overlook. What you wear going through the airport can erase 5 to 10 pounds from your luggage in seconds. A jacket with deep pockets, a hoodie, and a pair of bulky shoes instantly shift weight off the scale and onto your body, where airlines have never charged a fee. What looks like an outfit is really an unnoticed storage system, and it saves real money. Travelers report avoiding $50 to $75 charges using nothing more than what they choose to wear during check-in. The method becomes even more effective with a quiet move that seasoned frequent flyers use confidently: redistributing items at the security line, where no one is focused on bag weight. Once you've cleared the scale at the counter, that's the moment to place the heavier items back where you want them, inside the carry-on, inside the jacket pockets, or spread across both bags. This isn't deception. It's understanding when rules are enforced and when they're not. Weight limits won't get easier in 2026, but the people who understand the rhythm of airport checkpoints will always avoid the extra fees. The system rewards awareness, not brute force packing. And those who adapt early will travel lighter in the ways that matter most. How to avoid being targeted by gate agents. Gate agents no longer rely solely on measurements or scanners to flag travelers. In 2026, much of the attention comes from subtle human cues. Agents are trained to notice hesitation, fumbling, people constantly looking down at their bags, and anyone whose items appear bulky or disorganized. Even the most minor display of uncertainty can make a traveler stand out, and that's often all it takes for a bag to get pulled aside or a fee applied. Blending in is no longer about being invisible. It's about control. Walk with deliberate confidence. Move smoothly without rushing or juggling bags. Keep your personal item positioned low and behind your hip, creating a natural profile that appears compact and under control. Timing also changes everything. Boarding groups 1 through 4 experience far less scrutiny because bins are still mostly empty and agents have not yet begun enforcing the strictest checks. Early boarding isn't just convenient, it's a strategic advantage. Travelers who know this quietly navigate through the process, while others later in line face heightened inspection, longer delays, and higher chances of fees. This is subtle, almost invisible to most passengers, but mastery of movement, posture, and timing ensures that your bag passes through the gate without becoming the focus of unwanted attention. In 2026, understanding human behavior at boarding points is just as crucial as choosing the right luggage. What to say when agents try to charge you. Even the best packed bag can attract attention. In 2026, the first line of defense is knowing exactly what to say. If an agent questions your carry-on size, ask calmly, "Can I use the official sizer?" More often than not, the airport doesn't even have one nearby. Without it, they have no official tool to enforce a fee, and the charge can disappear before you argue about it. If your bag is just slightly over the limit, small adjustments make the difference. Remove hoodie or jacket, compress the top, collapse any expansion panels. A few seconds and a simple tweak transforms a flagged bag into a compliant one. Agents are trained to observe, not measure minute differences. Subtle action goes a long way. For international flights, another layer exists. Politely remind the agent, "My ticket includes one free checked bag. Can you confirm?" Most agents step back. They know the policy, and the right phrasing avoids confrontation while securing your benefit. In 2026, success at the gate is less about luck and more about strategy. Understanding the rules, having quick solutions, and speaking with confidence ensures that a bag passes smoothly without surprise fees. Mastery here saves time, stress, and hundreds of dollars. New 2026 ID and passport rules. In 2026, identification at airports is evolving faster than most travelers realize. Some TSA lanes now accept digital driver's licenses stored on phones, allowing a tap instead of a physical card. It sounds convenient, but the system is far from universal. Many airports still require traditional IDs, and technology glitches can send travelers back into the line. The real ID requirement became fully enforced in May 2025. If your license doesn't have the gold star, it won't be enough to fly domestically. You'll need a passport. And even for travelers with the right license, digital travel credentials are being tested at select US airports. These systems allow boarding with just your face and your phone, eliminating paper entirely. Yet, despite the promise of frictionless travel, the safest move remains bringing a physical passport. It's the backup that ensures you won't face delays or denied boarding when technology fails. In 2026, understanding which ID works where is no longer optional. It's essential for every traveler who wants to move efficiently through airports. Liquids Rule. Truth for 2026. The 311 Liquids Rule is not going anywhere in 2026. You can carry liquids, gels, and creams in containers of 3.4 ounces or 100 milliliters, all inside a clear, quart-sized bag. Some US airports now use CT scanners capable of seeing through bags in 3 dimensions, allowing travelers to leave liquids inside. But here's the catch. Not every airport has these scanners. Many still require traditional inspection. Relying on scanners that may not exist puts you at risk of a forced bag search or a delay at the checkpoint. The safest approach is simple. Pack assuming the 311 rule still applies. Keep liquids in the clear bag, organized and visible. This ensures that no matter where you fly, you move through security efficiently and without unexpected interruptions. In 2026, preparation beats chance every time. Travel changes outside the US. Travel to Europe is changing in 2026. The Entry-Exit System, or EES, becomes mandatory on April 10th. Every traveler's fingerprints and photo are recorded digitally at border crossings. For first-time visitors, this means longer lines and a slightly slower process at automated gates. Once you've entered the system, subsequent trips move faster, but the initial experience requires patience and preparation. Later in 2026, ETIAS, the European version of the US ESTA, will launch. Travelers must apply online before flying, paying a small €7 fee. Without this authorization, boarding is denied, regardless of your airline ticket or passport. Understanding these requirements before you step on the plane is crucial to avoid delays, fines, or being turned away at the gate. In 2026, international travel is no longer just about packing right. It's about compliance, timing, and strategy. Starting January 2026, flying out of the UK comes with a new cost reality. Air passenger duty increases means your ticket isn't just a seat anymore. It's a bigger bill at checkout, especially if you're in premium cabins. Every flight leaving the UK now demands attention to fees, so planning ahead matters more than ever. Across the Atlantic, US travelers finally get some protection. New refund rules require airlines to automatically return money when flights are canceled, delayed significantly, or when extras you paid for, like Wi-Fi, seat upgrades, or priority boarding, aren't delivered. The system is designed to put you first, but it only works if your proof is solid. Screenshots, receipts, confirmation emails, keep them handy because these little pieces of digital paper are now your most powerful travel weapon. Understanding these rules is no longer optional. They determine whether you walk away from a trip confident or frustrated. And in 2026, the airlines know travelers who prepared get the advantage. Mobile Passport Control, or MPC, remains the fastest way to clear U.S. customs, completely free and accepted at over 50 airports. For frequent international travelers, Global Entry continues to save hours on re-entry, letting you bypass long lines while your companion may still wait. Combining Clear with TSA PreCheck accelerates ID verification, shaving minutes off every checkpoint, while facial recognition boarding gates are now optional, letting you choose between speed and comfort. Digital passport trials are expanding, hinting at a future where your phone alone could replace paper entirely. If you've watched this far, you already travel smarter than 99% of people. Don't lose that edge. Subscribe so you never walk into an airport unprepared again. Before you click away, comment the airline you fly most. I'll create a carry-on guide tailored to that airline, because in 2026, each one's rules are unique and knowing them could save you hundreds in fees.